What is going on, guys? In this video, I'll be going over the Ghost Rider story here on the Crew 2, so jumping right to this, step number 1, the statue. Find the statue in Stockbridge, Little Town in the northeast of Northwoods. So for step number 1, you will have to head over to Stockbridge and locate the statue, which is luckily pretty easy, but there's really not a lot of spawn points to this area. So for me, I found it the easiest to spawn over to this escape. Basically, jump into your plane, then head over to the statue that way. Now, if you really wanted to, you could also spawn over to this hypercar race and basically just drive there, or spawn over to this off-road escape over here, but I found it to be a lot easier by going to the one that's in the water. And now moving over to step number 2, Yellow Crane. Travel from Northwoods, far north of New York, to a crane in the harbor of Detroit with any ground vehicle. So for step number 2, you will have to leave from the Northwoods area, so what I ended up doing on this one is basically jumping into my plane, then flying a little bit forward so I could be by Northwoods. Then I got back into my car. Now do keep in mind though, this will still be 15 miles away from this location. And now moving over to step number 3, State Prison. Travel from Detroit to Detroit State Prison with any ground vehicle. Spawning to this location will put you around 1.6 miles away from where the state prison is located, which gets you a lot closer than it would have from leaving from the crane in step number 2. And now moving over to step number 4, Tipi Village. Travel from Detroit to the Tipi Village near St. Mary, north of Yellowstone with any ground vehicle. So for step number 4, you will have to leave from the Detroit area. So for this, I recommend leaving from the state prison that was in step number 3, then heading over to the Tipi Village that will be located right near St. Mary. Do keep in mind, guys, this will be over 25 miles away. Now moving over to step number 5, Mountain Hotel. Travel from St. Mary north of Yellowstone to the Glacier Parks Hotel with any ground vehicle. So for step number 5, you will have to leave from the St. Mary area. So for this, I recommend leaving from the Tipi Village that was in step number 4, and then heading over to the Mountain Hotel, which from this location will be a little under 9 miles away. And now moving over to step number 6, train station. Travel from Glacier Park, far west of Chicago, to the train station in a small hamlet between Fergus Pass and the Canadian border with any ground vehicle. So for step number 6, you will have to leave from the Glacier Park area. So for this, I recommend leaving from the motel that was in step number 5, and then heading over to the train station, which from this location will be about 13 miles away. Now moving over to step number 7, Wood Warehouse in Lake Tahoe. Travel from Great Basin far west of Chicago to the Wood Warehouse located in Lake Tahoe, east of Seattle with any ground vehicle. So for step number 7, you will have to leave from the Great Basin area. So what I did is I spawned over to this escape and drove forward just a little bit. Then it will activate the objective. That way you can head over to Lake Tahoe, which will be about 9 miles away from this location. And now moving over to step number 8, Canoes Camp. Travel from Lake Tahoe to find the Canoes Camp in Yosemite, west of Las Vegas with any ground vehicle. So for step number 8, you will have to leave from Lake Tahoe. So for this, I recommend taking the dirt road over to where Yosemite is because there's really no other fast way to actually do this. So I recommend using like a rallycross vehicle and following this dirt road over here. And then once you get to the street located over here in Yosemite, you then can jump into your favorite hyper and or streetcar, whatever you guys might be driving, and then head over to the canoe camp, which will be about 8 miles away from where Lake Tahoe is. Moving over to step number 9, Old Gold Mine. Travel from Yosemite to the Old Gold Mine southeast of Gold Country near Sacramento with any ground vehicle. So for step number 9, you will have to leave from the Yosemite area, so I recommend leaving from where the canoe camp is over here on the street, then heading over to where the Old Gold Mine is, which is luckily under 7 miles away from this location. And now moving over to step number 10, Bookshop. Travel from Central Valley to the bookshop in Pacific Heights, San Francisco with any ground vehicle. So for step number 10, you will have to leave from the Central Valley area, so all you have to do is head over to the street nearby to the Old Gold Mine because for some weird reason the Old Gold Mine is not in the objective part. Luckily, once you're on the street, then you can head over to where the bookshop is in San Francisco, which will be under 7 miles away. Now moving over to step number 11, Lost Cemetery. Travel from San Francisco to the cemetery of the ghost town between St. George's and Lake Mead, east of Las Vegas with any ground vehicle. So for step number 11, you will have to leave from the San Francisco area, so I recommend leaving from the bookshop in step number 10. I feel like this is the easiest way and there's really no point of spawning over to this race over here. Do keep in mind, guys, this is going to be 35 miles away from this location, so I would recommend something fast for this. And now moving over to the final step, old ruins. Travel from Red Rock to the old ruins south of Santa Fe with any ground vehicle. So for the final step, you will have to leave from the Red Rock area, so I recommend leaving from the cemetery that was in step number 11, and then heading over to the old ruins that's going to be about 18 miles away from this location.